$120,000. That was the total circled at the bottom of the handwritten invoice my stepfather sent to my phone. The title read, Reimbursement for Upbringing. Ages 14 to 18. He had itemized every meal I ate as a teenager. Then came the text message. The lottery money cleared your account today. I expect my return on investment by Friday. Or your mother is on the street. I did not scream. I did not cry. I just took a screenshot, forwarded it to my attorney, and typed one word. Execute. Before I tell you exactly how I turned that invoice into his eviction notice, drop a comment telling me where you are watching from and what time it is. I want to see the global reach of this story. I drove to my office in silence. The radio was off. The only sound was the hum of the engine and the blood rushing in my ears. Charles's text burned in my pocket like a physical weight. Return on investment. As if I were a stock he had purchased low and was now ready to cash out. I merged onto the highway. And for a second, the leather steering wheel under my hands turned into the greasy counter of the burger joint I worked at when I was 16. I could still smell the stale oil. I remembered the burn of the fryer on my forearms and the exhaustion settling into my bones after a double shift. I was not saving for a car or prom dress. I was saving for rent. $300 a month for a bedroom door that did not lock. Charles called it learning the value of $1. I called it extortion. I parked in the underground garage of my firm. The concrete walls reminded me of the day I turned 18. There was no cake. There was a black trash bag on the front lawn. Charles stood in the doorway, arms crossed, watching me shove my clothes into the plastic. You are an adult, he had said, smiling that tight, self-satisfied smile. Sink or swim, kid. I swam. I swam until my lungs burned. I did not ask for help. I did not look back. I walked into the lobby, the heels of my boots clicking a sharp rhythm on the marble. I am Julia, 28 years old. To the outside world, I am a forensic accountant who specializes in distressed assets. I find value in wreckage. I buy companies that are bleeding out and strip them down to the studs. But Charles did not know that. To him, I was still the scared teenager on the lawn. He did not know that the lottery win 3 months ago, $850,000 after taxes, was not just luck. It was the first time in my life I had a safety net. I sat at my desk and unlocked my secure terminal. $850,000. It was not buy a private island money, but it was buy your freedom money. It was destroy your enemy's money. Most people see a lottery win as a chance to buy things. A boat. A house. A vacation. I saw it as ammunition. I had spent 10 years building a life where no one could ever touch me again. I had diversified portfolios, emergency funds, and a lawyer on retainer. I did not need Charles's permission to exist anymore. I pulled up the photo of the invoice again on my monitor. Food. Clothing. Electricity. He had monetized my childhood. He truly believed he owned shares in my success, because he had provided the adversity that forged me. He thought he was the architect of my life. He was about to find out he was just a liability on my balance sheet. And I knew exactly how to liquidate a liability. I did not feel sad. I did not feel the old ache of rejection that used to keep me up at night. I felt the cold, hard clarity of a business decision. I opened a new file on my computer and named it Project Foreclosure. Charles wanted a return on investment? Fine. I was going to give him one. Adam's office was a glass box suspended 20 floors above the city. It smelled of expensive leather and billable hours. Adam was not just a lawyer. He was a shark in a tailored suit. The kind of man you hired when you wanted to burn the earth, not just win a case. I sat opposite him, my hands folded on the polished mahogany. Tell me, I said. Adam did not waste time with pleasantries. He slid a thick file across the table. Charles did not ask for $120,000 because he wants to expand his business, Julia. He needs it because he is drowning. I opened the file. It was not a business plan. It was a foreclosure notice. He mortgaged your mother's house, Adam explained, his voice flat. Not through a bank. Banks ask questions. He went to a hard money lender. Predatory rates, short terms, and aggressive collection tactics. I stared at the document. My mother's signature was there, shaky and weak, right next to the stamp of a power of attorney. Charles had not just stolen her security. He had coerced her into signing away the only thing my father had left her. The auction was scheduled for next Tuesday. He is not trying to build a legacy, I said, the realization settling like ice in my stomach. He is trying to stop an eviction. My phone buzzed on the table. Charles. Adam raised an eyebrow. I swiped accept and put it on speaker. You are making a mistake ignoring me, Julia. Charles's voice filled the room, smooth and condescending. I know you saw the invoice. I know you have the money. I am in a meeting, Charles, I said, my voice steady. You are always in a meeting. That is the problem. You think your fancy job makes you better than us? You think that money makes you special? He let out a short, dismissive laugh. You forget who made you, kid. You forget who toughened you up. And there it was, the narrative he had spun for 14 years. I did not kick you out to hurt you, he continued, his tone dropping to a mock philosophical register. I kicked you out to save you. I taught you that the world does not give handouts. I hardened you. If I had coddled you like your mother wanted, you would be nothing. You would be weak. That money you have? That success? That is my creation. I forged you in fire. Julia, you owe me a management fee for your life. I looked at Adam. His face was unreadable, but his pen had stopped moving. Inside, I did not feel anger. I felt a clinical fascination. This was the cage named family. Charles did not just see me as a cash cow. He saw himself as a martyr. He truly believed that his cruelty was a gift. He had twisted his abuse into a curriculum, convinced himself that starvation and homelessness were lessons he had generously provided. He was not asking for charity. In his twisted, narcissistic mind, he was asking for his dividend. He believed he owned my resilience because he was the one who forced me to build it. You think you are the hero of this story, do you not, Charles? I asked softly. I am the man who made you strong enough to survive, he snapped. Now pay your debt. I did not argue. I did not scream. I just pressed the red button. The silence that followed was heavy. Electric. He believes it, Adam said, finally looking up. He actually believes he is entitled to it. Good, I said, standing up and walking to the window. I looked out at the city, at the thousands of lives moving below us. If he thinks he made me, then he should not be surprised when I act exactly like the survivor he claims to have built. I turned back to Adam. We do not pay off the mortgage. We do not give him a cent. Adam smiled, a sharp, dangerous expression. What do you want to do? Find the lender, I said. I want to buy the debt. The lender is not interested, Julia. Adam hung up the phone and leaned back, frustration tightening the lines around his eyes. I spoke to the portfolio manager at Ironclad Capital. They know the property value. They know your mother has equity. They would rather foreclose and take the house than accept a payoff. To them, the asset is worth more than the cash. I sat perfectly still. This was the friction I expected. In my world, everything is for sale. You just have to find the pain point. They want the house because it is a guaranteed profit, I said, thinking aloud. Foreclosure takes time, though. Legal fees, auctions, uncertainty. They want the asset, but what they really want is the return. They are sharks, Adam agreed. They smell blood. Then we feed them, I said. I opened my checkbook. The debt is $120,000. Offer them $135,000. Adam paused. You want to pay a $15,000 premium? You are overpaying for bad debt. I am not paying for the debt, I corrected him. I am paying for the timeline. I am paying for the right to stand in their shoes. Call it a rush premium. Call it an acquisition fee. I do not care what they call it. I want the assignment of that mortgage in my name by noon. Adam looked at me for a long moment. Then a slow smile spread across his face. He picked up the phone again. This time, the conversation was shorter. Money has a language of its own, and immediate wire transfer above market value translates to yes in every dialect. 30 minutes later, the paperwork was in front of me. I was not just paying off a loan. I was purchasing the promissory note. I was not saving the day. I was becoming the institution. I signed my name at the bottom of the assignment agreement. The moment the ink dried, the power dynamic shifted. Charles did not owe Ironclad Capital anymore. He did not owe a faceless corporation. He owed me. It is done, Adam said, verifying the wire transfer on his screen. You are the lien holder. You hold the deed of trust. Legally, you are the bank. I looked at the document. It was just paper, but it felt heavy. It felt like a weapon. Now, I said, picking up my phone. We set the table. I opened the message thread with Charles. The last text was his demand for payment, still sitting there, unanswered. I typed carefully. I did not want to lie. I wanted him to walk into the trap of his own arrogance. Bring Mom to Adam's office at 400 West Street, Suite 500, 2 in the afternoon. We will settle the account. I hit send. The response came within seconds. A thumbs up emoji. He thought he had won. He thought settle the account meant I was writing him a check. He thought his intimidation tactics had worked, that I was the scared little girl who paid rent to exist in his world. He had no idea that in the world of distressed assets, settling the account usually meant liquidation. He is coming, I told Adam. I will have the conference room prepped, Adam said, standing up and buttoning his jacket. Soundproof. Private. Do you want security on standby? No, I said, standing up to join him. Not yet. Let him feel comfortable. Let him think he is the king of the castle one last time. I walked to the window and looked down at the street. Somewhere down there, Charles was probably telling my mother that he had handled me. He was probably celebrating. Enjoy it, Charles. It is the most expensive lunch you will ever have. The conference room was a vacuum. Soundproof glass walls, gray carpet, air conditioning set to a temperature that made you wish you had brought a coat. It was designed to make people uncomfortable. It was designed to make them want to sign just to leave. I sat at the far end of the long marble table, Adam to my right. A single folder lay in front of me. At 2 p.m. exactly. The heavy door opened. Charles walked in first. He was wearing his Sunday best, a navy blazer that was a size too tight and a gold watch that I knew was a knockoff. He strode in with the chest-out swagger of a man coming to collect his winnings. He scanned the room, saw the view, saw the expensive leather chairs, and I saw a flicker of greed in his eyes. He thought this was my surrender. He thought this was where I paid tribute. My mother, Elena, followed him in. She looked smaller than I remembered. Her shoulders were hunched, her eyes fixed on the floor. She wore a faded cardigan, wrapping it around herself like armor. She did not look at me. She sat in the chair Charles pulled out for her, silent as a ghost. Nice place, Charles said, taking the seat at the head of the table opposite me. He leaned back, spreading his arms. Glad you finally decided to be reasonable, Julia. Lawyers. Expensive, aren't they? We could have settled this at the kitchen table, but if you want to do it the hard way, that is your choice. I did not smile. I did not blink. Hello, Mother, I said. Elena flinched. She looked up for a fraction of a second, terrified, then looked back at her hands. Hi, Julia. Charles cleared his throat, reclaiming the attention. He reached into his jacket and pulled out the handwritten invoice. He slid it across the marble. It made a dry, rasping sound. I am willing to be generous, he said, his voice magnanimous. I know I asked for a return on the full investment, but your mother and I, we are forgiving people. You pay the $120,000 today, and we forget the rest. We forget the disrespect. We call it even. He tapped the paper. Just write the check, kid, and we can all go home. I looked at the piece of paper. Then I looked at him. He really believed it. He believed that because he had once controlled my food and shelter, he controlled me forever. He thought he was the landlord of my life. I did not bring a check, Charles, I said. His smile faltered, just for a second, before hardening into a sneer. Then why are we here? You think you can negotiate? You think your fancy lawyer scares me? I have rights. I have. You have debt, I interrupted him. My voice was soft, cold. You have a mortgage with Ironclad Capital that is 45 days past due. You have a foreclosure auction scheduled for next Tuesday. The color drained from his face. He looked at Elena, who had gone rigid. I do not know what you are talking about, he stammered, but the swagger was gone. You mortgaged Mom's house, I said. You signed her name with a power of attorney you bullied her into giving you. You took $75,000 out of the only asset she owns, and you lost it. Gambling? Bad investments? It does not matter. I placed my hand on the folder in front of me. You came here for money to stop the foreclosure. You came here because you are terrified they are going to take the house and Mom will find out you stole it. That is private business, Charles shouted, standing up. You have no right. Sit down, Adam said. It was not a request, it was a command. Charles hesitated, then sank back into his chair. He looked small now, cornered. I slid my folder across the table. I did not pay your debt, Charles, I said. I bought it. He stared at the folder. What? I bought the note from Ironclad Capital this morning, I explained, watching the realization hit him like a physical blow. I own the mortgage. I own the arrears. I own the lien on the house. I leaned forward. You do not owe the bank anymore. You owe me. He opened the folder with shaking hands. He read the notice of transfer of debt. He saw the stamp. He saw my LLC's name as the new creditor. You cannot do this. He whispered. It is done, I said. And because I am the creditor, I decide what happens next. I can foreclose on you tomorrow. I can put you on the street by the end of the week. I can seize your truck, your accounts, and garnish every paycheck you ever make until I am paid back with interest. I looked at my mother. She was staring at me, her eyes wide with shock. She finally understood that the power had shifted. The man she was terrified of was no longer the scary one in the room. I was. But I am willing to be generous, I said, using his own words against him. I slid a second document toward him. This is a quitclaim deed transferring the house solely to my mother. And this, I pointed to the second paper, is a stipulated judgment for divorce. Charles looked up, sweat beading on his forehead. Sign the house over to Mom, I said. Agree to leave and never come back. If you do that, I forgive the debt. I let you walk away with your truck and your clothes. If you do not, I paused, letting the silence stretch. I will take everything. I will bury you in so much litigation you will never see daylight again. Choose, I said. The house or the debt. Charles did not sign. He started to laugh. It was not a maniacal laugh. It was a low, wet sound that bubbled up from his chest. He looked at the documents, then at me, shaking his head with a pitying expression. You really think you are smart, do you not? He said softly. You think because you have money and a fancy lawyer, you can walk in here and dictate terms to me. I am the head of this family, Julia. I make the rules. He grabbed the notice of transfer and the quitclaim deed. With a sudden, violent jerk, he ripped them in half. Then he ripped them again, tossing the confetti onto the polished table. There, he sneered. Now you have nothing. Adam didn't blink. Those were copies, Charles. The originals were filed with the county clerk 45 minutes ago. Shredding paper doesn't erase debt. The smugness vanished. Charles scanned the room, not for an exit, but for leverage. His eyes fixed on the corner camera. The recording light was dark. Private room. No witnesses. His word against mine. His face went calm. Dangerous. You threatened me, he announced loudly. You lured me here to extort me. Stop, I warned. You attacked me, he shouted, knocking over his chair, then ripped open his shirt and slammed his own head into the marble table. Bone hit stone. Blood poured down his face. He smeared it everywhere. Help! She's trying to kill me! He collapsed as Elena screamed. Security burst in to find him bleeding on the floor and me standing untouched. Back away, the guard ordered, taser raised. He did this to himself, I said. She went crazy, Charles wailed. The guard turned to my mother. Did she attack him? Silence. She looked at me, then at him, watching her through the blood. Survival won. She nodded. Once. That nod hurt worse than the arrest. She chose him. They took me away. I spent the night in a holding cell, fingerprinted, processed, humiliated. No rescue, no miracles. But I wasn't panicking. I was calculating. Charles thought he'd frozen the board. He hadn't read the contract. At dawn, Adam appeared behind plexiglass. Still in the house? I asked. For now. He slid a document forward, the promissory note. Acceleration clause, he said. If the debtor commits violence or files false charges, the loan defaults instantly. No grace period. So his stunt hit the self-destruct button. I filed for possession overnight. The judge signed. Across town. Deputies were already knocking. Eviction. Asset seizure. Everything. I smiled. Get me out. By noon, Adam showed me footage. The camera's light was broken. The sensor wasn't. Charles checking the door. Smashing himself. Perfect. False reporting. Perjury. Extortion, Adam said. DA's filing. 3 to 5 years. And the house? Vacant. He was cuffed and removed. One problem left, I said. My mother. She wants back in. I shook my head. No deed. Instead, I handed Adam a trust agreement. Life estate. She lives there rent-free. That's generous. Read the condition. He did. If Charles enters even once, the house is sold and donated to domestic violence victims. You're forcing her to choose. The roof or the husband. I signed. Changed my number. Crushed the SIM card. And drove away. No debt. No leash. No one chasing me. The road ahead was open. And the silence? The silence was beautiful.